Welcome to this YouTube channel on how to buy a business no cash down. I'm Carl Allen and I've been buying businesses now for almost 25 years, more than 250 deals in 17 different countries. So this playlist is all about deal making basics, the fundamental rules of what we do to take over someone else's established business without spending our own money. Here's the next video in the sequence. There are 6 in total.
Next, part 2 is all about the seller. Who are the 3 specific types of seller that this system targets? Why will they literally hand us over the keys? And what's the psychology and rationale involved? Finally, what will market data tell us about these people? The first seller type is what I call the burned out business owner. This is an individual that's just had enough. They've got no succession plan, they could be sick or just looking to retire and enjoy the rest of his or her life. Let's look at these people in more detail. The bottom line is this person's just had enough, doesn't want to continue but can't get out of the business. They've made a great income over time and have had enough for retirement, but really the owner is working in the business, not on the business. Tons of hours, not having any fun whatsoever. The best years are in the past. Now imagine how it must feel to be literally chained to your business. If you don't want to go in and run it on a cold, wet Monday morning, you've had a great weekend with your family, then who will? If you've just had enough and you don't want to continue, then what do? It's not like when you have a job that you hate and you just decide to quit. Now if you do quit as the business owner, what about your customers, your employees who depend on you for their own income, your suppliers who you need to pay, your leases and other financial commitments? If they've got sons or daughters in the business, they can hand it down, but most small business owners don't hire their kids anymore. They now go to college and become doctors, lawyers and bankers. And without a succession plan, there are only 2 options to get out. Option 1, advertise it for sale. They call the business broker, they can charge $25,000 as an upfront fee, plus charge you up to 10% of the sale proceeds as a success fee when it sells. But only 6% of advertised businesses sell in the first 12 months, as they're not marketed properly by the majority of brokers. Or if it did sell, the buyer will likely be a trade competitor who will destroy it anyway. They'll relocate it. They'll let go of some of the employees. They'll eliminate the brand overnight. They'll massively change everything about the business, the culture, the heritage. It'll all go before the ink has dried on the sale contract. Now, very few business owners will go down the broker route for these 2 reasons, and that's our hook. The second option is shut it down. However, virtually all the business owners I've met in 23 years are just simply too proud to lock the doors, make all the employees redundant, and then be forced to use all the money that they've harvested over the years for retirement to pay off the working capital debts that the business has. This can arguably be the most frustrating period since the business was founded or acquired by the current owner. The owner actually feels trapped and can't do anything about it. The key here is to be the safe pair of hands. Now these sellers don't want money in all cases. I'll prove this to you later. They want someone that is a trusted guardian, someone who will protect the employees, the history, the culture, the heritage of the business and the goodwill that's been built up over time. 10, 20, even 30 years or more in some cases. I acquired an engineering business from a 72-year-old guy called Terry back in 2009, and he'd founded that business 43 years ago. It was a fantastic business. Terry still worked in it 7 days a week, sometimes from 6 a.m. in the morning. There was nobody else to take it over and run it. He'd made over $2 million in the previous 5 years from the business, and it was enough for him to retire on. But he just couldn't close the business down, even though he had enough to live on. He had 34 employees, a 5-year lease remaining on his facility, leases for state-of-the-art equipment, and a bank loan. Yes, he could pay all these off with his retirement fund, but why should he? So he gave it to me. So in summary, we're looking for owner-managers who need to retire or come out of the businesses that they own, but in a clean and dignified way. And it's all about handing over their legacy to you, the safe pair of hands. Someone that's going to take the business forward and protect it, treating it with respect. This is really important. Now, some owner-managers decide to pack in because they become ill, as sad as this is. Also, illnesses within the family become a major distraction, and the owner will be needed to support a spouse, a sibling, even their children in some cases, which is really tragic. Now I want to tell you another quick story. I acquired a business a few years ago from a guy called Jeff, whose wife had become terminally ill with cancer. This deal happened very, very quickly. Jeff didn't want a competitor ripping his business apart. He needed a safe pair of hands to take over the business. He had 2 daughters and neither had no intention of joining Jeff better business. He was devastated by his wife's illness and he wanted to be with her 24/7 for the last few months. He did not want to be stuck in his business every day, but there was nobody else could run it for him. So he gave it to me, and it relieved him of the daily pressure of running it. Now, I was giving Jeff a way out. He didn't need any money, he had plenty of that, but he had employees, leases, contracts to fulfill, suppliers to pay, and he just couldn't face it anymore. There were now more important things in his life. Other reasons for wanting out can be as straightforward as just running out of ideas or running out of energy. Markets change, and they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and the same goes for old owner-managers. As you know by now, I love market data, and I often conduct my own surveys. So using social media, I built a group of almost 2,000 owner-managers that had sold out in the last 3 years, and I asked them one big question. In selling your business, what was your primary reason for doing so? The responses were incredible. Almost 45% were just like Jeff, needed someone like me to take the baton, the safe, trusted pair of hands charged with protecting the legacy. 18% zeroed in on employees, and as I said before, what generally happens to employees when a competitor takes it over, they get fired. Sad but true. Now, some sellers do want cold, hard cash and don't care about anything else, and that's fine, as they're in the minority and my system filters them out. Sellers that want money eventually are somewhat important to us, since they may only want annual payments linked to performance. So in essence, the business they are giving us is the asset that is generating the profit to pay them some money over time, after it pays us, of course. I'll illustrate this in the deal structuring section of part 3 next. There were some other reasons. However, you can see that 73% of all of these sellers did not see any form of money as a motivation to sell. These people are our focus, and I'll show you how to find them in part 3. I bet you're all now scratching your heads to think of all the old business owners that you know who will give you their businesses. But what if I told you that the seller need not be old or sick? Meet Simon Cohen. This guy wasn't sick, far from it, but he didn't want to own his business anymore. Simon had built a consultancy business in the UK, absolutely fantastic business. It was worth $2 million, he'd had enough, and this was a young guy. Just go and Google Simon Cohen and read any of the stories about him online. This guy launched a global campaign to give 95% of his business away. My system finds thousands of Simon Cohens before they do that. And meet Bob Moore. On his 81st birthday, Bob Moore gave his entire business away to his employees for free. $24 million in sales, growing at 30% per year. What a fantastic business. Bob didn't need the money, he wanted his employees to be safe and cared for. And also did Joe Lukin. He had a chain of grocery stores, employing more than 400 people in Minnesota. He also gave it away. He didn't need or want any money. And also Outlandish. They are one of the best web development firms in London. Guess what? You've guessed it, the owner gave it away. Google Outlandish and read the stories online. I could spend all day talking you through examples of owners giving away great businesses to someone trusted to look after them, and that's you.
So that's it for this particular video. The next video in this playlist will follow, and please check out all the other playlists and videos for everything you need to know to learn how to buy a business no cash down. In fact, I've crammed everything that you need to know into a special 90-minute webinar titled 3 Insider Secrets to Buy a Profitable Business Inside of 99 Days Without Cash or Knowing How to Run a Business. And here are the 3 big secrets, the 3 killer training topics. Think of these as hurdles to you becoming a business owner. First, I'll show you exactly what the 10 steps are to buy a business, and you must follow these in order. It's really critical. Second, I'll show you lots of case studies of deals structured using OPM, other people's money, and it's no more difficult than high school math. And finally, I'll show you how you can get others to operate the businesses for you, so you can do other things like spend time with your family or buy other businesses whilst enjoying the cash flow that your new business is generating for you. So to register for this groundbreaking training, just click on the link underneath this video on YouTube or type in this link into your browser. It's bit.ly/buy-my-business. And I'll see you on air sometime in the next week. Until then, bye for now.